are here at Bruce Beach, and I am Barbara Albrecht, and I'm a graduate at the University of West Florida. I have a degree in marine biology. I have a lot of background and a lot of different interests. So my interests include water quality, and frankly, we couldn't study things in the marine environment if we didn't know about the conditions of the water. We're at Bruce Beach in downtown Pensacola, and this is a really small area, like less than 11 acres, on the waterfront that has 3 very different types of water. So that's why I'm interested in Bruce Beach. Where exactly is Bruce Beach? Bruce Beach is on the waterfront of the city of Pensacola. It's in a part of an area called the Community Redevelopment Area. And this is your park. It belongs to the city. It belongs to the county, and it belongs to the people of Pensacola. Again, where is Bruce Beach? It's downtown, but you might not even know it exists because to our one side, we have the Blue Wahoo Stadium, we have a restaurant, we have an engineering firm, we have Main Street, which is across from what used to be the old wastewater treatment plant. We have a water tower that is located right next to the Spring Street Library. And if you keep going west, you'll be able to see a tank farm. Well, that's where we end up having ships that bring in oil and gas that unload it, and this is where it is. So those are 500,000 gallon tanks, and that's located next to Joe Patty. So this little place is sort of tucked in here and very standing in front of a wetland mitigation project that was part of the Bruce Beach effort when they built the Port of Pensacola. They kind of took that water body and that access away from the public, and to restore the habitat, they made this large wetland that you see behind me that's lined in rocks to protect the shoreline. Okay, so what is mitigation? Mitigation means, like, you know, I did something and I impacted somebody, and now I need to make it right. They have to do something to benefit the community. And that's what a mitigation site is. This area, this mitigation site is actually helping to clean the water. It's actually helping the fishermen, the birds, the mullet jumping. There are all types of habitats in this area. This is where a little creek that starts at the water tower by the library goes underground all the way, probably a mile or so, all the way here, and right before it gets to this open water, it becomes daylight. Well, it's been living in the dark, underground, and then right on the other side of Main Street, it becomes available to the sun, and it flows with the tide. So when we have high tides, water from the bay comes into this system and mixes, and when we have low tide, water runs out of this creek and into this system. And it's created a unique system behind me, which is a marsh. Now, this is also a man-made marsh, but it's a little more of an upland marsh than what we just saw. So you have 2 very different types of habitats. When we have high tides, the area behind the rocks are also underwater, and that's where you have a completely different wetland habitat. Now, if you were to go into closer to land, you would see an upland habitat. And then what kinds of habitat shifts do we see? So here we have a wetland marsh, we have a tidal wetland, we have a mitigated wetland that is always inundated with water, and then we have open water. And all of this is combined and very dynamic. What kinds of waters are we talking about? I was looking due south towards the beach. I'm looking across Pensacola Bay. I see the very western tip of Gulf Breeze, and then way out on the horizon line, I see the barrier island that we know of as Pensacola Beach. We have open water that is mixed with the bay and has tidal influence. To our right, where we have this wet mitigation site, This area is also tidal, but things slow down there. The water is not as active, and so the salinity change wouldn't be as much in that area. So it would probably be a very constant system. Whereas Washerwoman Creek, which is the name of this creek that becomes daylighted, this is going to have the most change in salinity and water chemistry. And this is actually a site that I'll be working with some high school students and some college students to look at the bacterial load and the nutrient loading going into this system. So what can we study out here? Water, the water quality, the water condition, plants, the natives, the invasives, the exotics. How did they get here? Why are they here? Should they be here? The plastics, what are those? Those are anthropogenic. What does that mean? The sand type, the sediment, upland sediment, down sediment. Look at the rocks. Where did they come from? What was this site? Who cared? Why should they? Why should we care today? Why not care? What has this site been used for? Come to this place. If you were here 100 years ago, what would it have looked like? 200 years ago, would Native Americans have come here to trade pelts from the animals that they hunted? As a matter of fact, they did. Because you know what? We're doing all this to teach the important things that you'll have to take care of when we're long gone. Thank you.